Hi and welcome to this transit call where we are going to speak about gate 34. Remember that everything that we do in Unlock Your Design, everything that I ever do, it's not just an interesting theory to learn about human design and gene keys and astrology. It's open that awareness so that we have more possibility to choose how to move and respond through the world. But it's more than anything, taking that awareness and bring it into embodiment and feeling it in the form, in the body, in the life, in the relationships. So really the intention that we have is that sacred union, that marriage between the awareness that's expanding and the embodiment of how much we can bring in. So involution, taking that awareness, that consciousness and bring it into form. So returning home to ourselves and live by design. So it's very interesting and important to know the weather. So right now the sun is in 34. Tomorrow it's going to be 9. That's the weather that the collective is going to be able to feel if we are intuitive, if we are aware of what's going on. And at the same time, more important than that is that we have returned home to our design, to our body, to our temple, to our home. And that when we live from there, we are able to look at those transits as the weather that's there. So that's very important that we can geek away in astrology, and we're doing that quite a lot in Unlock Your Design in the inner circle, and just still coming back to the basics of strategy and authority, the basics of the form principle, and knowing that it's the embodiment that leads to us being able to understand that form principle, that the body is the driver, the design is the driver, and we are the passenger, and we're here to be the passenger of that vehicle. Felt that was important to start with for all of us as a reminder, because the transits are really cool. But if we're not home, if we're not living our true self, if we're not aware of the not self, then it's a lot of just mind gymnastics. Here we have the Black Panther archetype. This one seemed to be one of the most popular ones. So the Black Panther that doesn't have any competition in the jungle or wherever she or he lives, and is able to just follow that sacral energy and to do whatever feels right. So it's to bathe when he wants to bathe, is to climb the trees when he wants to climb the trees, is to make love when he wants to make love, and hunt in any kind of way that it feels natural in the flow of the sacral center. And this is the only gate in the sacral center that is not sexual. It's not connected to sexuality in a life force in that sense. It's more about being available or not. So the 34 is many times not going to be available because it's in the integration channels, connecting with the 20 and the 57 and the 10. And it's here to feel its power, know it has the power, and it's a power of survival. It's a power of evolution. And it's that power and that energy that has allowed us as well to become human, to evolve. The Black Panther is in transit from November 22nd to November 27th. This is the gate of might in human design. In the I Ching, we call this hexagram the power of the great. In the gene keys, we have the frequency band that goes from the shadow of force to the city of majesty, and the human pathway here, the gift, is strength. Here we're seeing the same gate on the wheel, and we can see that we are in the part of the wheel that have the heaven trigram on the bottom. And the heaven trigram, heaven over heaven, is going to be gene key 1 that we also see here in this part of the wheel. So that's 3 yang lines on the bottom. So that pure yang energy is the bottom trigram for the 34 and the other gates that are in that part of the wheel. So here we're seeing heaven, like we said, on the bottom and thunder on top. And we said that heaven over heaven is the same as hexagram 1. And that we know that thunder over thunder is the same as hexagram 51. So when we're looking at the 34, we have the combination of the energies of the 51 and the 1. So the shadow of force is agitated entropy. The gift of strength is the initiative of freshness, and the city of majesty is awakened beauty. And this is very much what I feel into the Black Panther, right? Majesty is awakened beauty. Beauty, that's for me what the Panther is really about. And here we see it from an astrological perspective. So instead of looking at the wheel as 8 different elements, we're looking at it as 12 different zodiac signs. And we're still going to be in the same part of the wheel, which is here in Sagittarius, which corresponds to the 9th house with the ruler, which is Jupiter. Here we can see that the archetypes are the seeker, the philosopher, and the explorer. And in Sagittarius, the service is to spirit through the intuitive pursuit of truth. We are immutable fire. So the first time in the wheel in Aries, the first sign, we have cardinal fire. The second time in Leo, we have fixed fire. And the third time in Sagittarius, we have mutable fire. Sagittarius is the smoke that travels far and wide and rises to the heavens. And here we can see the quarter. So we are in the quarter of mutation. The purpose here is fulfilled through transformation. We have 2 yang lines on the bottom of all these hexagrams. So we were speaking about the trigrams right before. Now we're speaking about the binary, about the 2 bottom lines, which is yang. And we have some of the codon rings here, the codon ring of fire, the codon ring of light, the codon ring of seeking, and the codon ring of Gaia. And then here we have also the keeper of the wheel in the godheads. That's important. So here basically in the wheel, we're going to have the illusion of beginnings and endings, or the spirals that are continuing. That's where we don't have a godhead in those here. So in the very end of the wheel, in the very beginning of the wheel, we don't have a godhead. And that's also what those of you that have been on the star codon journey with the free series with us, we're also looking at the start codon in the paternal DNA, the DNA as we know it, which is the 41, which is the star codon of Adam. And then looking at the maternal DNA, which is how we can do DNA tests to even know where are you from and what's your DNA a mix of. The maternal DNA, that is star codon 61, which is Eve. So basically we have the sacred union between the 41 and the 61 as Adam and Eve, which is also going back to the same mythology of beginnings and endings. That is very exciting. And that's something that hasn't been looked at until this year. It's the new transmission that came from August until now, which for me to see more of that maternal DNA and start to understand it is already going, still going a bit over my head. But if you have the chance to on YouTube watch the free, it's actually on both on the Lost Octave YouTube and then the one that is my old one, Jinkies and Human Design. You can watch the 5.5 hours that we did on the star codons and just the beginning here of the wheel. So please feel free to check that out. And then we can look at the body graph. So like I said before, the 34 is special. It's part of the integration channels. So that means that this is the only part of the wheel where we have a 4, where we don't have just one number or one gate connecting to another. We have 4 gates. So we have the 34, the 57, the 10, and the 20 connecting with each other. This is the gate of might. And the sacral center is about life force, sensuality, and creativity. The shadow is reaction. The gift is response. And the city here is flow. And those keynotes come from integral human design. So here you have the other gates that are living in this part of the wheel. And you can see if you are familiar with the wheel, which I hope that you are because you're on this call and we're walking the wheel. So if you are here, you probably know that quite a lot of those gates that we have now are in the center. They were in the 14 right before, and then now we are in the 34, and then we're going to go into the 9. So it's a lot of sacral gates. We also have the 5 that is going to come here in Sagittarius. So a lot of those gates that are in this part of the wheel has that energy. And we also know that Sagittarius itself, as that mutable fire, has a lot of energy, a lot of optimism. It's far reaching. The ruler is Jupiter. So it is about expansion and energy a lot. Might is the name of this gate. So we see that trend in this part of the wheel. The harmonic gates, like we said, many of them. So this theme, if you have the 34 and the 20, is that you are busy doing something that you love, and you will empower others who witness your love and what you're doing being busy. So this is the pure manifesting generator channel. We call it the channel of charisma, and it's a design where thoughts must become deeds. This is a check-in, a testing mechanism. If you are a manifesting generator, you are allowed to test something out, make that thought a deed before you know it's right for you. And you're also allowed by testing it out to say, it's not for me. I'm not going to the beach anymore. I sat down in my car and suddenly there's no energy. So I'm going to either go back in, or there might be another thought that wants to become deed and you drive to the wall or something. And that's okay. So let's become a little bit more open to that change of direction that can happen for the manifesting generators, because sometimes we're quite harsh on them, making them feel that they are not good enough if they can't follow through on things. But that's actually a way that they would dishonor their own sacral energy, which is detrimental for a generator, a manifesting generator, to not honor the sacral energy. When we have the 20 and the 34, we're going to have a frequency band for this whole channel. So in the low frequency, this is violence. It's basically being busy without any kind of awareness, being active, putting up all that power of the 34 in the now without any intention and purpose, basically, violence. And then we said it's a channel of charisma. So the gift frequency is charisma when we have our self-assurance and strength. Yeah. If somebody's on stage with self-assurance and inner strength, we can feel the charisma. And in the highest frequency, where we have the presence of the 20 and the majesty of the 34, that is ritual. And even when we think about those big cat animals, the lion or the panther, we can see it almost feels like a ritual when it's so beautiful to see them move through the world. And that's because they have that majesty and that presence. So then we're looking at the channel of power. So this is the design of an archetype, the archetype power. So here we have the splenic connection to the sacral. Your body is connected to your immediate environment and can alarm you of any incoming threats. Listen to your intuition. You know you can trust it. Here we have in the low frequency, you're going to see the theme here, because when we are having the gate of power and might, the 34 connected to another gate, like that power and might in the low frequency can be violence or it can be brutality, like you're seeing here. You're going to see the theme. So when we have force and unease, that's brutality if we push through, right? When we have intuition and strength, that is power. And then when we have the majesty together with clarity, then we are at the essence of what's there present. And here we have the last one. So here we have the connection with gate 10 in the G center. This is the channel of exploration, a design of following one's convictions. So if you love yourself in the 10, you're going to follow your convictions and you're going to use the sacral power of the 34 to do that. So here we are going to have a generator channel again, because we're connecting to the life force center. Love yourself and life enough to trust your own inner convictions. When you follow your convictions, you're deeply creative and inspiring. So the force in the self-obsession becomes stubbornness. I think that, however, that word, I don't really like that word actually. When you have force and self-obsession, I think it's worse than stubbornness, because it's not only like an inner stubbornness, it's like a very forceful stubbornness somehow. When we have naturalness and strength, that is conviction. And then the highest frequency with being and majesty, that is embodiment. So then we're done with this fork with the different gates. Here we are looking at the wheel. So this is one of 3 places in the wheel where you're going to have harmonic gates that are also programming partners or opposites in the wheel. These are going to be more common than other definitions in the chart. So one place we have it is the 20 and the 34. Another place we have it is the 40 and the 37. And then the third time where we have it is the 23 and the 43 that we had 2 weeks ago. These are the 3 places in the wheel where the harmonic gates that create a channel are also opposites in the wheel. And in this case, you can see, like we said before, we're in Sagittarius. The opposite of Sagittarius in the wheel is Gemini energy. And you can see as well the mirror opposites in the hexagram. So wherever the 34 has a yin line, we're going to have a yang line in the 20 and vice versa. So we are in individual circuitry. I'll show you on this slide. So here we are looking at the centering circuit when we have the 10 and the 34, because that's this little circuit in the very center, which is I love myself, I use my power for self-love, and I initiate in that kind of individual energy. This is like a primitive old channel that also makes for survival. It's definitely make for survival and also evolution. Okay, so we didn't have slides on all the other things. So just remember, wherever you have the 34, you're going to have either integration channels in the individual circuitry, in the knowing circuit, or you're going to have the centering circuit. Those are the two options.